So I'm sitting here with Joe DeMarco from Saltwater Long Island. Joe, thanks for coming on.
My pleasure, of course.
Yeah, so the brand Saltwater Long Island. Just give us the elevator pitch. What is it?
Saltwater Long Island is Long Island's clothing brand, as we like to say. So we're trying to take what we love about the saltwater, which we're all surrounded by, as well as Long Island, which people here are obsessed with Long Island. You're endeared to it. You move across the country, you love Long Island. We wanted to make a clothing brand for us, by us, and basically something that people can say, this is home. This is what home feels like every time I put on Saltwater Long Island.
So you are the co-owner of it, along with your father, Buddy.
Yeah. My 61-year-old father, who's a pain in my butt, but love him to the death, you know.
I'm sending him just a clip of that.
Yeah, he's kind of the brainchild of it all, you know. He's the guy that said, let's do this, you know, let's learn everything about clothing and let's do a clothing line for Long Island. Why let all these other guys have all the fun? Mm-hmm. And of course, my dad is not afraid of any challenge, so he picked a very hard industry in the retail and clothing and trying to start something from just an idea in the backyard now to, 3 stores and growing across the country and somewhat a little bit across the world.
Yeah, so we'll let's take it back to the beginning and learn a little bit about how you got started and where you're going. So you personally, you grew up in Massapequa, around the corner from me in Farmingdale.
Yeah, neighbor.
Yep, exactly.
I hate the Dalers.
Yeah, whatever.
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm over it at this point.
Me too.
I think I was over it in high school.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe let's look at a little bit at me.
Well, we beat you every year in football, so that's all that matters.
Exactly. So
you grew up in Massapequa, and then you went on to Syracuse for college. So what did you do there?
So I graduated in 2013 from Massapequa. Ended up going to Syracuse to play lacrosse, Syracuse University in upstate New York. Was a really insane opportunity that I couldn't say no to. For those of you who don't know, I'm like 5'4", and it's Division I lacrosse, and it's like it's a long shot. Everything that's like I kind of done has been a long shot. So I got invited and recruited to be on the team, and ended up spending 4 years up there in the business school doing marketing and entrepreneurship. It was a dual degree.
Oh, cool.
So during that time, I learned all about the things you learn in marketing and entrepreneurship and how hard it is, but how rewarding it can be at the same time, especially coming from my background of, family business has been my entire life. My dad, started businesses and things like that and has never worked for anybody but himself. So I thought that was a good path for me to go when I went to Syracuse, spent 4 years freezing my ass off. Mm-hmm.
Spent a couple days in the Carrier Dome.
A couple days in the Carrier Dome, which was, you think it would have AC, it doesn't have AC. Oh, no. So, a company like Carrier, but we don't have freaking AC, it doesn't make sense. But snow would be up to like as tall as I am, and you just walk to class and you embrace it. And I think it makes everybody like a better person because of it.
Yeah, did they have the heated sidewalks up there?
We're not that cool.
I went to Penn State, and we never had a snow day. I think in my 4 years there, I had one day that was shut down, and it was because of ice. It wasn't even because of the snow.
Which is insane, because at Syracuse, their big thing is no snow days. I think I had 3 of them, so we've definitely gotten softer over the years, Syracuse.
We gotta tighten it up.
Yeah, we got to get harder again, man. We got to get harder. So, Syracuse was an awesome experience, and growing up on Long Island here, every town almost feels like it's its own bubble and has its own things going on, right? So, Massapequa, I wasn't used to some of the other things that, I saw when I got to Syracuse. It was like culture shock, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah.
So it was really cool to kind of meet new people, learn new things from different areas, and, I never had an idea of, I'm going to have a clothing business by the time I graduated. While I was there, I did a bunch of entrepreneurship competitions. I actually started my first business while I was there.
So what does that look like? So you said you're in your major or your dual major was entrepreneurship and marketing. Right. So what kind of, I'm just curious from an education standpoint, what does entrepreneurship classes look like?
Entrepreneurship classes are interesting. They're all over the place. It's like one of them was called Imagination.
Okay.
And
that's cool.
It was, I don't know, it probably was Imagination something, but when you went to this class, it was like you were only graded on 4 presentations a year, and you just had to come up with like a company and just pitch this company, even if you don't have a prototype, even if you don't have anything. And you kind of just like go up in front of the class and do crazy things. So like, me who's not afraid to get up in front of a class and make, I'm do whatever it took to get the A, and I would go over the top with it. So, we'd be doing demonstrations, and a big thing at the time, everybody's shotgunning, right? So we did like a Red Bull campaign, be like shotgun one with your bros. And we got them in front of the whole class of like 100 kids, and all of us got on a knee and just ripped the shotgun. And the teacher was like, I've never, seen that before. And we were like, yeah, we just kind of do whatever we want. And then hopefully, you like it. And, there was no real like guidance on, this is the exact direction you need to go. It's like, how can you draw attention to yourself, take that attention, which you learned in marketing, right? And turn that into, active buyers who are interested in learning more about your product, and then having that product available, right? So like you take all those things that I learned in marketing, where it's like, got to get the attention, but then you also have to have a great product, and it's going to be a quality product, like Red Bull, for example. And now people love Red Bull. They got their attention. Like, they're jumping out of airplanes, switching planes and stuff. Like, they're just doing whatever they can to get your attention and say, damn, I want to drink a Red Bull because that's sick. You know what I mean? So we took all that stuff from, an entrepreneurship course load, where it's like kind of free flowing, get up there, get comfortable in front of people, talk to people, and then put it out there and see what happens. And then, you get an A.
Yeah. I learned this. I learned this story. I think it was from one of our first ever clients.
Yeah.
I think maybe the first client we
had.
Yeah. His name was Leo Abbey, and he's like an entrepreneur. He's a hedge fund guy. He's done a lot of like really cool things.
Yeah.
And
fancy.
And he told us the story of, it was either Red Bull or Monster Energy, but when they first got started, they would go like outside bodegas and like corner shops and stuff, and they would throw empty cans in the trash outside the stores.
Yeah.
And then they stocked the shelves in the stores.
Yeah.
And that was their like word of mouth marketing. That was like their guerrilla campaign at the beginning to get attention.
Right.
Like people would notice outside the stores that there was, I think it was Red Bull in the garbage can.
And be like, I got to try this.
Try it.
Yeah. No, that's funny you say that, because, when my dad first started this thing, it was like, I was like, we got to have cameras, we got to have security, all this stuff. And we're at the kiosk, small kiosk, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But he's like, if people are coming and trying to steal our stuff, it's almost a good thing, because you're saying people actually care enough to want to take it from you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, if people aren't trying to take something from you, then you're like, maybe it doesn't have any value to anybody else, right? Maybe it's just valuable to me. So it was kind of an interesting lesson that I learned from early. He's like, if you have to leave the kiosk for 15 minutes, just walk away. And if a shirt's missing, maybe they're wearing it somewhere and now someone else is seeing it. It's kind of the same kind of thought right there, that I was like, you're a wild man, for saying that. Like, let's let them take our stuff, and then he's like, but
it's like a test, right?
Yeah.
When you're early on in business,
right.
I'm in that phase now with my business. It's like everything I'm doing, I'm kind of approaching it as a test.
100%.
Getting an office space, okay,
yeah,
that's a test. Getting, trying different things with clients, that's a test. Like, internally, what are we doing to reach new customers?
100%.
That's a test. And you just kind of document that and keep track of it. So that's like a cool little test at the beginning.
Yeah,
like,
you're just like,
do we have any value to random people?
Listen, if you're gonna put your name on something, you're gonna stick your neck out. You got to give it 110% effort, or else people will come back and be like, "And that guy didn't give a shit."
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, he was just trying to make a quick buck. It's like, what? I'm more of like, I'm gonna give it 100% of my time, my effort, my attention. I might lack in other areas of my life, like less time with friends or less time with this, but at the same time, it's like I'm getting a lot out of what I'm putting in, whatever I give that attention to, because our attention is just it's so important to me.
Yeah.
I'm so ingrained into this world of saltwater, but
you're wise beyond your years.
Something like that. I learned a lot. I learned quick, what I mean?
I think having your dad as a partner in the business, and his experience can teach you a lot, and you kind of get put in the pressure cooker
100%.
to learn a little bit faster.
Yeah, no, 100%. And he's I never say it enough to him, but he's been like just truly amazing to me.
I'll send him that clip too.
Yeah, thanks. Now he's gonna cry. He's a pretty emotional guy.
Yeah, he almost cried the first time we filmed with you guys.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's crazy. We, going back to the roots of how this all started, and how we're gonna try to disrupt Long Island and try to change the game here. So I got off the boat in 2017, graduated from college. It's fresh off the Combs Bait and Tackle, Americ Road, Combs Bait and Tackle, Duke of Fluke, and I'm wearing a Vineyard Vines t-shirt. I'm wearing a Costa Del Mar hat, and he's like, And we come in, we got our, our fluke, our sea bass, and, whatever. And we didn't win anything, but we had a great time out on the boat. And that feeling was just so like impeccable. And then it was like, he broke it down to the point. It's like, why are you wearing that? Why do you have that on? And I'm like, I just like the way it makes me feel. It makes me feel like I'm, on vacation, or I'm not connected to anything else except for what I'm doing in that moment. So when I go fishing or I go on the boat, it's like phone goes away, life problems go away, and now I'm just kind of living in what I'm living. Yeah. So this man's crazy.
Well, I think I said it the first time that I met you. The brand to me is like, it's a very South Shore brand.
100%.
But then your dad quickly corrected me and said, well, it's a South Shore brand, but a lot of people who come out to the South Shore and who want to hang out with us, they want to be us.
Right.
So like, even it's a North Shore brand too, because all those people want to be like us.
Yeah. No, it's an East End brand. It's a North Shore brand. It's a New York City brand. It's a Westchester brand.
It's a very Long Island brand.
Yeah. And people...
And just coastal areas. Like I went up to Newport, Rhode Island recently, and I was like, saltwater would be perfect here.
Right. And it's that thing. So we go from... having this conversation, it was like the day after my birthday in June, and next week the guy's got our sewing machine, my mom's sewing machine. This is hilarious.
This is back in 2017.
This is back in 2017. It's the early summer, and he's got a sewing machine, and he's ordering blank hats, and he goes to our local cop shop in Massapequa, and he gets patches that say SWLI with the fish on them, right? I don't know if I have one here. I should have brought an original hat, but this man taught himself how to sew. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, man, I'm, having a couple drinks, jumping in the pool and stuff, just messing around. He's now so super focused on how can I make my son or, people want to wear something that's endearing to Long Island, right? So he starts learning every intricate detail of it's a 5-panel hat with, he's got to sew this on around the edge so that it doesn't look messy. And, he's got to break 30,000 needles before he figures out actually how to do the thing and foot pedal and this and this. And finally, he starts making these hats, and now he's giving them all my friends, and, we're wearing them. And now all of a sudden, my friend's going back to Loyola for, his senior year, and he's giving him hats. And now every party he goes to, my friend thinks he's the man. His name's Sean. He's dishing out hats, and he's like, buddy's hooked it up before. He's helped me make some friends by giving out some like free hats and stuff. So my dad learned every part of the hat, right? And after that, it was like, what's next? We have to make a T-shirt, right? And like any, up and coming brand, it's like, how do you do that? So we found a local wholesaler, who makes just like Hanes T-shirts. And then he figured out a way to get some lady, I don't know her name, and I wish I'd remembered, to design him this fish logo. And the first logo was basically like clip art. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was like a striped bass that if you type it on a clip art, it was the one you got. And he started throwing it on shirts. And from there, it's like, let's proof the concept. Do people from Long Island love striped bass? Do they love, the coastal lifestyle, like whatever we're in our brains trying to do? And then he started going to fairs in the fall. So he spent basically his whole summer in 2017 learning how to build a hat from scratch, with the mesh and the panels and the structure, and, a lot of people helping him along the way, just like giving him feedback, just friends of mine, even at the batting range, which is another location we have here on Long Island, like just giving him feedback saying, oh, that's cool, or that's not cool, that's not cool. And then he went and tested it, right? So he goes to 5 fairs that fall. So fall of 2017 now. And he's got one shirt with our big fish, ugly looking logo at the time. The colors weren't even established yet as like the blue and the green, right?
Yeah, what was that initial color?
It was just like white.
With just the white fish.
It was like a white outline. Shirt. Yeah, it was basic, right?
Got to start somewhere, right?
And he goes to Long Beach. He pops up with the tent and the shirts, but he said when he popped up with a tent, he said, "I'm not doing a tent. That's what everybody else does, right?" So he takes our outdoor table, like an outdoor table, a circle table with a big umbrella in it. And he sets up a table instead. And he just sits there and hangs out all day, talks to everybody, coming by. He's got this like another clip art banner in the back that says Saltwater Long Island with their logo, like attached to the umbrella and attached to the 2 chairs. And from there, he kept selling out. And he's like, what the hell is going on? Do I have something here? So people like loved him.
Yeah.
And then they loved, the idea of what he wanted it to be one day. So that's how it started. Went to Long Beach, went to Huntington, Massapequa, Seacliff, and I'm missing one more, which he would be mad if I forgot this. But so he started going around to these fairs and kept selling out. So do you want to keep going?
Yeah. So this is like, that was the summer and fall of 2017.
Right.
So at what point do you jump in and get involved in the business? And what were you doing
later.
At the time?
Yeah. So I come more on a full-time basis later.
So at this time, what are you doing?
So at this time,
summer?
I'm trying to do what every, just graduated from college person's doing, and just trying to get that first New York City job and just jumping at any opportunity they can get, going on a bunch of interviews, gaining experience, learning things. So I ended up working for like a small marketing firm in Manhattan and did that for about 2 months. And I was like, man, this sucks. I was like, this is
we
not.
have a similar story.
Yeah, I was like, this is not what I should be doing. I'm not a desk guy, but I'm also don't know how I can not be a desk guy, you know. So my road goes a little different. So my dad's doing all this in the fall of 2017. I ended up when I was in college, I won a business plan competition with three of my friends. And we won $20,000 to start a business, and we had all this money just sitting in a bank account, and none of us wanted to touch it. We didn't know what to do with it. We never really gave it a true shot of starting something. So I started a separate business with two other of my friends. The other friend bailed out; he was going to med school, and it was more lacrosse focused. It was a product that allowed people to practice face-offs, which I was a face-off specialist. And for those of you that don't know what that is, it's basically if there's a tip-off in a basketball game at every beginning, they do that after every goal and the start of every quarter in lacrosse. So it's a possession-based game. So it's something you need to do, repeat and repeat and repeat and do all these repetitions to get so good at it, get fast hands, good reaction time, and good technique. So we developed a way to practice that. So I ended up doing that and trying to chase that first dream while my dad at the same time was focusing more on Saltwater Long Island and, starting a brand from scratch, right? So I did that for about a year and a half. I moved back up to Syracuse, lived on a dorm room couch of my buddy who was my partner at the time. Him and his girlfriend would be sleeping in the bed and I'd be sleeping on the blow-up mattress right next to them. And they'd be going to school, and I would be there developing the product using Syracuse University's facilities, using their 3D printing, learning how to actually create this device, which we ended up creating, and eventually I don't want to go too far into this, but going down the path of, we ended up selling it and kind of moving on.
Oh, cool.
So it wasn't a huge exit by any means, but it was.
But it was your first, you can call that a success.
It was a first experience. I learned how to, how I can tie this back to saltwater is I learned how to set up manufacturing and learn about shipping and how expensive it is, and then learn about, if there's defects in customer service, how do you handle all of those transactions, and traveling around and getting the product out there and learning a lot of things. So did that for a while, sold out of that, and then I worked for actually Syracuse University up at that. Now we're in like about 2019 area. And so then I volunteered for Syracuse in the fundraising department, which is basically kind of wheeling and dealing, having a good time, going to, basketball, football games, lacrosse games, taking people, showing them a good time. And then somebody else would come in and kind of say, hey, do you consider a gift to Syracuse University? So I learned a lot about like
schmoozing the alumni.
A little bit, So I did that. And then COVID hit. Now we're in 2020. And so I started volunteering there, got a temporary position there, then a full-time role there doing this kind of thing, working with people, hanging out with them. COVID hit. I'm like, oh, crap, there's not going to be any basketball games ever again. Not going to be any lacrosse games, no football. I don't know what's going to happen. So decided so my dad at the same time, now let's go back to my dad. That's my journey through Syracuse and what I did in the meantime. My dad in 2018, it's actually December now of 2017 into 2018, he sets up a kiosk, one of those almost like this table type kiosks, right? And goes in with his hats and his shirts that he's doing himself. He's screen printing and, something that anybody out there could do.
Yep.
It's all the tools are there. You can go to Amazon, get a heat press. You can go to Transfer Express and get transfers. Anybody can do this. So he did it, right? Spent nights and nights and nights and just screen printing, making hats, everything, doing it all himself. he's trying to keep his costs low, but also he wants to, have a ton of product.
Yeah.
Sets up 15 feet in the middle of the Walt Whitman Mall from Vineyard Vines. So he talks. So the mall, Simon Malls have been great partners to us since the beginning. We were in the Walt Whitman Mall in Huntington as our first kiosk. It's on one side's Tesla, the other side's Apple, and the other side's Vineyard Vines. We're like, you can't ask for a better situation. Yeah. That's the clientele that's going to some of those stores.
How does Vineyard Vines feel about you guys set up directly outside?
I'll get there. So Buddy somehow gets this amazing deal, sets up that kiosk. This is December 1st, or Black Friday, 2017. He's up there till 4 a.m, and he's, making sure the setup looks good. He doesn't even know how to dress a mannequin. We don't even know how to dress a mannequin, but the mall gave us mannequins. The mall gave us displays just like this table and said, here you go. We're gifting this to you. Use this and see how it goes. Like, they're like, these people are, they're going to fail, whatever. They're never going to make it. And that man sat at that kiosk for 40 straight days, the time between like Thanksgiving to New Year's or whatever, and he sold everything. And at that point, his mind was blown. He was like, well, the setup's unbelievable, right? Mm-hmm. The Vineyard Vine customer is going, oh, is this like a Vineyard Vine pop-up store right outside their main store, like a little outlet or whatever, and getting a little brand confusion, and obviously some, just brilliance from my dad's point of view of saying, let's set up right here. So at the end of the fourth quarter or whatever, there's a mall meeting, and mall manager gets up and says, hey, everybody, I hope we had a great quarter four, great Christmas. And the story goes that the general manager of Vineyard Vines said, F this place, and they're outside, and they cut into chunks of my sales, and they need to move, they F this, F that, right? And we're just sitting there, and we're going, oh, shit. Like, did we just proof the concept, right? Mm-hmm. We got the general manager or the regional manager, whoever they were, not happy with us, right? So my dad's like licking his chops. Now he's like, all right, so we'll move.
Give me a store on the other side. Right.
So he goes, well, we'll move. So him now, he's into it. He's like, I love this. Now we got this. He ends up building a 2 times the size kiosk, hand built it, and we get moved down to the other corner of the mall, which is right next to like Bloomingdale's and Toomey's. Mm-hmm. And now he's got a full freaking fledged store. Basically, like the average kiosk is 10 by 10. His is like 20 by 20. And he's like setting up like a base camp, like a footprint, right? And ended up grinding that for 2 years. But what changed was in 2018, he knew that if he was going to get repeat customers, he couldn't keep hand pressing and buying cheap T-shirts and things like that. So that's where he started looking for manufacturing, mm-hmm. because we have the concept of the brand down. People like the brand, but how can we now take this brand to the next level and not just be a T-shirt company, right?
Yeah.
We don't want to sell T-shirts in the mall. That's not what my dad always said, like, let's not sell T-shirts in the mall. Let's be more than that. So we spent the next couple months going to the Javits Center, and from there we went there. We had this, 1,000 T-shirts maybe at the time, purchase order, and everybody just laughed at us. We go into the Javits Center, it's the apparel sourcing convention of the year, and this is now 2018, and everybody's laughing, and then we find this one guy named Felix, and he's from Peru. And he said, I'll give you a chance. And that was like the biggest win for us. Mm-hmm. They looked at us, in Peru, families, everything, and what they saw in us was people that had a vision. My dad sold the vision of, we're going to be the next Vineyard Vines. We're going to be that next big piece in this space. And, we might have just 1,000 pieces that we need right now. But I promise you, we're going to work harder than anybody else, longer than anybody else, and we're going to make sure that, this 1,000 pieces is now 2,000 pieces, and then 5,000, and mm-hmm. and we're going to grow with you. He's very good at selling that vision of what he believes in. He really, he believes it, right?
Yeah, just from having a couple of conversations with him over the past few months, I've noticed that. Like, he has a very clear vision on where he's going. He knows exactly the amount of revenue he wants to hit.
Yeah.
He knows the 3-year goal, the 5-year goal.
Right.
And he's like, and we're on track for it.
Yeah.
And when we're striving every single day and working harder than everyone else, that was something that I really loved.
Yeah.
That he said was like, we're going to outwork everyone.
Right.
And I mean, that is what I'm getting from everything that you said is both of you have a level of obsession about this. And one of our previous guests on the podcast, his name is Adam Hurd.
Yeah.
He preaches that too. He's like, in order to, like, there's nothing, like, yeah, maybe your skills are a little bit better or your education's a little bit better, but if you have obsession and you're outworking everyone, you will do better. There's people that are out there that are doing better than us that, I guess from a financial standpoint, that have just obsessed more. And they might not have the skills that we have. Yeah. But they're just working harder. Yeah. And that's, I think, what you guys have been doing for the last, since 2017, last 5 years. Now. Yeah. So, just like continuing the story, he's now sitting in the middle of a mall for 2 years. This 2018, now it's 2020, COVID is hitting, right? And I decide that I'm going to come back and join full time, and we're going to give this the full college try. How does that go? Is that like a family meeting and you come to him and you say, I want to do this? Or is he like, hey, Joey, I think this might be the time? No, I hate him because he would never do that. So 2 years go by, we're doing great. You know, obviously, we have this one location and You've been helping out at all? I've been involved. Okay. He keeps, every day he always sends me something or, can you make this Excel for me? Or, he's keeping me very, very tight and involved. And I didn't realize at the time. I'm just like, oh, Dad, I'll do this damn Excel. Okay, yeah. Damn it, I have to learn. Yeah, and he's slowly stoking the fire, right? So, then he's like sending me the numbers he's doing and he's sending me, the cool shirts that he's making. And it's like, oh, crap, like, I want to wear this shit. like this is like, and I'm proud of it. And my dad will send me care package while I was up in Syracuse, and I'd be like, damn, this is sick, And my friends and I put it on. They'd be like, where'd you get that? I'd be like, oh, it's a brand my dad and I started, And now I'm getting like, really proud. Yeah. And then I'm like, oh crap, I'm still working at Syracuse, and my boss at the time was like, what do you want to do? Like you're going to be like an administrator at Syracuse? I'm like, maybe, whatever, and all this stuff comes to fruition, and the mall comes to my dad. I think it was called like the Walking Store or something goes out of business, and they're like, oh, well, we can make a deal up, and we want you to like move into a location, and he needed somebody that could grind the hours and be there and spread the brand, but I didn't know this at the time still. But then COVID happened, so I'm like, I've been away for a while. I think it's time to come home. And my mom's like, what are you going to do? I was like, she's pushing me to, become a teacher or go back and get your master's and do, work in the dean's office. She works in the dean's office in Massapequa. And I was like, nah, I'm going to make saltwater. I said, we were sitting around the dinner table, and she's like, you can give this a year, you're going to give it a year and then you're going to move on to the next thing, whatever. I'm like, then it's personal. I'm like, yeah, that's just fuel to the fire. Yeah, right, so she might know what she's doing. I'm not going to give her that credit right now. I'm still to this day, that's what fuels me a lot of times to wake up in the morning when I don't want to, and show up. But she was like, all right, I'm not that she's not particularly happy, but she's like cautious, right? As any mom would be. And my dad's like licking his chops. He's like, yeah, we're going to do this. 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 And I'm like, all right. So it's sitting around the table, and I'm like, I'm going to give it 5 years. And, if it doesn't work at 5 years, I'll be 30. And now I'm 27, 2 years into it, and I'm still here, right? Yeah. So open this new store, during COVID time. Ends up we crush it, in our terms of crushing it, right? So you get to live to see another day, right? Yeah, we're able to. That's crushing it, right? We're able to order more product and expand our line, and now we're getting, instead of one type of hat, we have 4 types of hats, and instead of one T-shirt, we have long sleeves and hoodie tees, and and so we're like, okay, this is great, And keep in mind, we have no idea what we're doing. Like we have no fashion background. We have no retail background. We just know that if we show up every day
and just give a really good attitude. The customers will love us. We're going to love them back, just like they're part of the family. And if they believe in us, they will believe in the brand.
Yeah, I mean, what you lack in certain areas, right. you can also pay other people to do those parts eventually, as you grow. Eventually.
And then I would be remiss to say that we were really lucky to have this girl named Christine, who's our designer. Mm-hmm. So it's basically me, my dad, and Christine at this point. And we just opened a new store. We still have the kiosk. We're operating both. But Christine's like, I can draw a little bit. And we're like, what the fuck? This girl is, she's a little different. She's an opera singer. She's a theater person, a little different than us. I'm more of the jock who, play across, and I'm like, we're going to butt heads here a lot. But she's a huge reason why I'm wearing some of the cool clothes that I'm wearing today. She actually is the one that designs them,
That's awesome.
So we have our input. My dad has his mega input. And like they say, like, you're not allowed to be part of the design. You can just run, you operate and meet the customers and, make them love you just like you were doing at Syracuse. Just do what you're doing there. Just do it here. Mm-hmm. And then hopefully sell some stuff in the same way. So
let's jump ahead a little bit.
Go ahead.
You open this store in Walt Whitman. It's a success.
Yeah.
Now, how does the West Hampton Beach location come about?
So we were like, Walt Whitman's amazing, right? We love it there. It's easy. We know what to expect every single day. We've been doing it for 3 years now at this point. And, from Christmas, like Thanksgiving to Christmas, you're going to crush it. And then, Father's Day is going to come around and crush Mother's Day. 4th of July, Memorial Day. It was very holiday-based, the mall. It drives a lot of traffic holidays, right? But we have a great winter-based store, right? So people come there. That's where they get their gifts. But how do we expand this even more? So me and my dad were, was this December of 2021-ish, looking for a Hamptons location. And the reason being is we drove out there a couple times, not knowing anything about crap out there, because growing up on the South Shore we did, we had our beaches.
Yeah, we're not going out.
Yeah, we have our waterfront restaurants. We have, that stuff, but it's 10 minutes away from your house, not, an hour, 2 hours, sometimes 3, depending on when you leave, right? But one thing we noticed, if we wanted to actually grow this brand and change the game per se, is why do all these Los Angeles boutiques have pop-up stores in the Hamptons? It's to garner that awareness, right? Mm-hmm. So they went out there, and it's like they're only open, May 1st through October or September 1st, then they leave. But what they're doing is they're garnering that Hamptons name.
Yeah.
So that's what a lot of them do, and I'm like, Dad, this is what we need to do. To be taken seriously, to be more than just a place selling T-shirts in a mall, we need to go ahead and expand to what is the Hamptons. That feeling that, this is an elite brand. This is a high-end brand, right?
I think it also opens up a different demographic to you because, you're located in Huntington Station or Huntington in the Walt Whitman Mall, but you get a lot more of a wider range of the North Shore that goes out east. And 100%. You get a lot of New York City that goes out east during the summer. So that's a smart move to get out there.
Yeah. So, and then we were like, okay, so Walt Whitman, we know we're going to kick some butt here in the winter. At least hopefully, right? you don't ever assume anything, but you hope. And you kind of know. And then how can we find this summer location? And the summer spot, and it's cool. So we went to Southampton and, couldn't find a spot that we fell in love with. Went to East Hampton, couldn't find a spot we fell in love with. Sag Harbor, couldn't find it. Montauk, couldn't find it. And then I heard about this town called West Hampton from a friend that I actually went to college with. She's like, you got to check out my town. I was like, the hell is West Hampton? I have no idea, And pulling the town, I'm like, this is sick.
Yeah, so I used to work in West Hampton, when I was doing catering when I was in high school and early college during the summers, and there was West Hampton Beach Club that was one of the locations I was working at. But going to the West Hampton Beach store now, they've done an amazing job with the town. It's completely different. It's all brand new. It reminds me of a coastal beach town.
Yeah,
which it's kind of like Montauk,
right?
In the way it's set up.
So we exactly. And we studied the town for about a month or two. And in my typical dad fashion, the little genius he is, we went there on a Sunday, and there was only one real estate shop open on the Sunday, and there was one lady named Allison Galasso that was in the office. My dad said, that's the lady we're working with. She's going to find us the best spot in town because she's the only one here that's on a Sunday at 3 p.m. in the middle of January. And I was like, oh, shit.
She's the local.
Yeah, she's the one, right? So little do I know, Allison had almost a surf shop-ish, life is good shop in town at one point. Now she does real estate. So she knows our market, and you always find people that are smarter than you, right? She's way smarter than us. She's like, I got this hidden spot that no one knows about. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, you won't find it on, any of these, like Zillow or whatever, right? And it turns out it was a psychic shop, previously a psychic shop, right next to the busiest restaurant in town that hasn't been able to rent. And she knew, because she knew the owner of the restaurant, knew that it was available or he was looking to lease it. He's only talked to her, right?
Okay.
So we waltz into town, us little short guys, right? And she's like, I got this location, which is brand new construction. It's beautiful. Or I got this location that needs a lot of work, but it's right next to the busiest restaurant in town. And I'm looking at my dad, I'm looking at my chops, like, that's a beautiful new location. It's easy. We walk in there, we put up some stuff on the walls, it's easy. And he's like, nope, that's too easy. He goes, we gotta pick the one that's next to the busy restaurant. I didn't know how busy it was. It was January when I was there.
Yeah.
Everything's dead out there mostly. But he's like, this is the one we're gonna take. And so then we ended up, rebuilding it, redesigning it, and opening May 1st of that year.
Yeah, it's beautiful now.
It is gorgeous. It really is a nice store.
And it's right next to the busiest restaurant. And their food is great.
Their food's great. Their margaritas are great. Not that I've had too many of them.
No.
And then from there, it's just been, now we're making money in the winter and the summer. And now we have enough money to now keep developing and creating new products. So then,
so just to to put a little bow on the whole thing that we're going through, what's coming on in the future in terms of like, what's your plans for the next year or so?
Yeah.
I know you have some new products coming out.
Right.
What's happening with that?
Yeah, no, it's so just to wrap up so we had a great summer. Now we're, having a second great summer right now. We opened another little pop-up in LaGuardia Airport, which they came to us, and now we're doing a pop-up in LaGuardia. And that's going great so far. It's only been a month, so knock on wood. I don't know if there's any wood around, but my head basically. And then the future is to keep working, developing more content, making more people aware, working with great people, outside perspective, because I can be very single-minded and know where I want to go, but it's good to be pulled in multiple directions. Developing, shorts and pants and even slippers to boxers and trying to really create a whole ensemble that someone can wake up in the morning and every piece of them they put on is Saltwater Long Island. And that would be a really cool day when I don't have to put on my American Eagle boxers anymore or my Amazon socks, and I can say, oh man, everything I'm wearing right now makes me feel like I'm, every day's vacation, and I just love the feeling of everything that I have on. And I know that was like a really long story, but that was like basically everything.
No, I mean, that is the story. That's what we want to hear. We want to, I guess my last question to wrap it up, and then I'll let you plug yourself a little bit. Were there any challenges?
Oh my
going
God.
through it, and like, what would you say was maybe your biggest challenge, and how'd you overcome that?
Yeah, no, every day's a challenge. I still live at home. I live with my pops, so every morning I wake up and it's like, what do we got to hit this number today, and we got to do, we got to figure this out, and like I said, like, you think it's easy to make a T-shirt? Like everybody's a different shape or size, and I'm a medium in Tommy Bahama, but no, I'm sorry, at Saltwater you're a large, right? So it's like, that's a huge challenge, is making sure everybody feels comfortable when they put our stuff on. Another challenge is like not knowing the exact technical terms when speaking to our manufacturers of, hey, we want it to look this way. Oh, that's called a side slit. And you're like, oh, or that's a raglan. And you're like, I don't know what the hell that means. I just like the way it looks, right?
Yeah.
But every day it's like you have to learn something new in order to communicate more clearly, because a lot of the times you're dealing with somebody whose first language is not English, right? So that's the challenge a lot too, is being very specific. But if you don't know really exactly what you're talking about to the T, how could you be super, specific.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably a challenge for a lot of people. It's a challenge for me, like starting to work with people like Sal and like Celia here, like communicating the vision, and not necessarily knowing the lingo to get started.
100%.
I mean, but based on everything I've heard from you and about Buddy as well, is you know, you can't let those things.
Right.
Those things could stop some people from doing it, and their ego would be bruised from being told like that this is the technical term. Yeah. But you guys are just approaching it from a learning standpoint, which I think is the correct way to go. You're testing, you're learning, you're a test in progress, you're improving. Right. And so is the business.
Right. Yeah. Everything's a challenge, you know? Mm-hmm. Like I'm not going to sit here and say everything's sunshine and rainbows at Saltwater Long Island. Like, you know, my dad's very cautious. I'm very progressive, and it's like the battle every day of, do we do more? But if we do more, then we're screwed, you know? And then if we, you know, we do less, then we're screwed. It's like, you got to find that equal balance. So it's like yin and yang, right? So we're always working, you know, with each other, but we balance each other out in a really cool way. Like, I'm the young guy who knows how to use the computer. My dad's the old guy that knows how to read a profit and loss statement, which I'm like, I'm not interested in that. Let's just keep talking to people and selling more stuff. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, Saltwater Long Island, hopefully, you know, will be everywhere one day. And I think I know.
I think it will.
With great people around me. I'm no genius. Trust me. I'm just someone that just keeps going and showing up every day.
You got the right mindset.
You have to.
From where I'm coming from. Yeah. It looks like, you know, success is coming your way. Hopefully. You got to keep working at it. Yeah. I mean, for anyone, like, you know, you just have to keep putting in the time. Yeah. And it sounds like that's what you've been doing since the very beginning.
Of course.
You know, you were obsessed with your lacrosse product.
Yeah.
Now you're obsessed with saltwater.
Yeah.
It's, you know, just keep the obsession going.
Yeah. I think the hard thing, and you know, we're both young guys. It's like, I guess a question for you is like, how do you balance you're engaged, right? Yeah. How do you balance your relationship, but also this insane business venture that you're taking on, and doing this and doing video shoots and having time for her and the dog? And I mean, how do you manage it? Because I'm very like, I got nothing going on right now. You know what I mean?
You have to be, I guess the short answer is communication. Yeah. Everything needs to be communicated correctly. And for a while, I've very much struggled with that. There's been clients where I've dropped the ball, projects where I've dropped the ball. Right. And that's tough to stomach as a business owner. 100%. That's your reputation right there. Like, you can't also get too low about that stuff, because you have to realize you're going to make mistakes and you're going to get there. Right. There's been moments where I dropped the ball in my relationship, and luckily for me, Holly is a great partner in the fact that she'll talk to me about it, and she'll tell me like, hey, I feel like you're not spending enough time doing this or doing that. And it just comes down to communication, really, with clients, and setting the right expectations. With the relationship, setting the right expectations. Yeah. You know, if I'm going to have a really tough week, going into that week, I have to communicate that to Holly. Yeah. Otherwise, I know, like, come Wednesday, she's going to be like, what are you doing? Why are you not spending any time with us? And then I would be like, oh, well, you know, I've got this, this, and this. And it comes down to, well, why wasn't that communicated? Because then I could have picked up the slack. Like, you know, we just bought a home, and we have a dog, and, you know, we're trying to build a life. Yeah. And, you know, sometimes one partner has to pick up the slack. Sure. She has a very busy season. She does a lot of accounting. She is an accountant, and she works for PricewaterhouseCoopers, major accounting firm. Yeah. And so she has like 4 months out of the year where she's just like busy nonstop. Yeah. And for me, the summer is really busy. Yeah. So we definitely have opposite busy schedules, and we know we've gone through it enough times. We got enough reps in to understand, like, this is when Steve's going to be busy. Right. I can pick up the slack a little bit in the summer, and then she's going to be busy in the winter. I can pick up the slack a little bit during that. Yeah. So long story. I said the short answer is communication. The long answer is communication. Yeah, no, it's interesting because I'm in this world right now where, you know, everything's a text away, right? So it's like, even my own relationship with some of my friends, like it gets very distant sometimes, right? But like it's so tough. I don't know if been there too. Off the podcast, no, it's not. It's just cool. You're the first person who's like turned this into this kind of conversation. I love it.
Well, yeah, because I'm interested. I'm like I said, I'm here to learn myself, and I don't really want to. I hate talking about myself. The only reason I want to is because I want to make sure you have what you need. But
we have content now.
Exactly, because but like at the same time, like I'm not sitting here saying, you know, sunshine and rainbows, right? But I'm also want to get better myself.
Yeah, and I also don't want to come to you and say like I'm an expert in this.
No, you're not.
But from my perspective, that's the communication.
But the problem is you're real. You know, that's the only reason like we wanted to work. When we work with people at Saltwater, in my family, even in my personal life, it's like you got to be a real human. You know.
Yeah.
And you gotta like we have to. Everything is tough. We just have to like figure it out together. So like, you know, what am I, a year younger than you?
Yeah, I think you said 2013 you graduated.
Yeah.
I graduated 2012.
Yeah. So it's like, how can I learn from you who's going through this, who has a wife, and maybe that will be me one day, you know, but I'm just so like in a different lane, you know?
I mean, I've definitely sacrificed time working on my business that I could have for the relationship as well. So there's it's
give and take.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what do you see as far as this podcast goes and everything? What do you want it to be?
For this podcast specifically was to sit down with people like you.
Yeah.
At first it was, I needed to come up with something to create content for my brand.
Yeah.
And then it was, well, I have this cool network of a lot of cool people and I like to think that we are an organization that's disrupting Long Island.
Right.
So I thought, let's sit down with other people that are disrupting Long Island, maybe learn something from them or at least have them able to tell their stories.
Yeah.
And the first few episodes were really rough, like in terms of recording. I haven't even put them out yet.
Yeah.
I'm going too soon, but even in a short period of time, I think we've improved.
But this goes back to what I was saying. It's like I go back to my entrepreneurship classes, and I got up there and did stupid shit.
Yeah. You just have to do it.
You just have to do it.
You just have to do it.
And you have to just imagine, like, you know, like, as I say, like, I'm mad at you that you haven't put out one yet. I'll be honest with you.
Okay, I'll put them out.
I am, because it's just like, you want to get an A+ on this assignment, right?
Yeah.
So who the hell F cares what everybody else thinks? You know, as long as you love it and you're proud of it, then do it. Fuck it. You know what I'm saying?
All right, I'll do it for you.
Do it for
I'll get it out next week.
I'm serious.
I've literally just been slacking on editing them, is really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
But I need to stoke the fire a little bit and get it out there. So it's transformed a little bit into now I want to have more guests on that I can learn from.
Yeah.
And I think I had some guests on earlier that I could have learned from, but I didn't take advantage of the opportunity to pick their brains correctly.
Yeah.
And learn the information that would help me and my business and maybe some other people who are out there who are starting to build businesses. And that's kind of like what I'm getting into now with MMP and the content that we're going to start putting out. And even with my personal brand that I'm going to start developing is I want to just document what's happening in my business and maybe show people what works for me, what's not working for me. And hopefully other business owners out there could learn from that.
No, I think that's awesome. Like, the thing is like anything can be interesting. Mm-hmm. You know, like anybody can be interested in anything you do. Like, I'm beyond interested in what you do because it's like I just look around. This is kind of cool. There's lights and there's cameras, and Cecilia's over there doing her thing. And you know, it's. I would
love to take credit for the lights and the cameras. They are Celia's lights and cameras. She does an amazing job.
No,
Celia, we're in production.
But like this is like. People don't understand how much went into what Cecilia did today.
Yeah.
Like, that is so cool. You know,
years have gone into this. I mean, she's already developed this studio.
Yeah.
From years of obsession.
Yeah. So do you have any questions for me as far as what you can learn from me?
Well,
put you on the spot.
I've been asking you. Yeah, I wanted to learn about the business and how it got where it is, because I haven't had we've had business meetings, right? Where I've learned the surface and what I need to know about saltwater in order to hopefully help to market it correctly. Yeah. But I just wanted to learn more about your story and where you're going, because I can see now how you have gotten to the point that you are at. Yeah. In terms of the skills that you've developed and the things that you've done in the past. Right. You never know, like, the people that you're getting involved with in business, are they as obsessed as you? Yeah. And I think you're more obsessed than me, and maybe I need to step up my game now. Yeah. Yeah. So that's I think that's my biggest takeaway from this is, like, you're working hard. Yeah. is the ultimate takeaway.
Yeah. I see that. And then like when people are like, you have to work hard, and my dad's like, you got to be there 12 hours a day. I don't think it always has to be like that cookie cutter. Like I hate that term, sometimes, but like, I just know
the grind and the hustle, which it's important. And there's times where you need to know when shit's got to get done.
Yeah.
You got to do it.
Right.
And you have to spend, like I've been on productions where I'm there for 20 hours.
Yeah.
Or I've been stuck where I've got to finish 3 projects in a day.
Yeah.
And my team's on vacation and the people that I work with aren't around. It's like, all right, guess I'm editing these 3 projects in the next 12 hours and my day's going to suck. But you have to do those things in order to evolve and to get where you're going.
Yeah, no. So I feel like that's so cliche, but it's not like you have to be like, you have to dedicate your life to it. But I think like any moment that you can, like outside of whatever else you got going on, like, I'm thinking about saltwater, which is is like we're playing golf on the black course, right? And the guy that I'm with, he's a finance guy, works in the city, right? And all of a sudden, I take out my camera and I start videotaping him, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm taking shooting some stuff for maybe saltwater that I'll post on." And he's like, so he goes home late at night. He texts it's his brother-in-law, and he goes, and his brother-in-law's my best friend. He goes, "It was so weird. Like Joe just couldn't stop doing what he was like. He was golfing and he was having a great time." But he just couldn't stop doing it, like he couldn't stop thinking about how can he capitalize on this moment,
Yeah.
Maybe I got to step away a little bit sometimes. No, I mean, but you know what I mean? It's like
you'll find the balance.
Yeah.
And I think I've found recently that balance, but I think more, and this just popped in my head, more recently what I've found is taking ownership.
Yeah.
For like when something goes wrong, it's my fault. When something goes great, that's because I worked to make it go great.
Yeah, you're right.
Like I would never let myself get too high to enjoy something.
I'm the same way, dude.
But I would get low.
Yeah.
And I've recently stopped letting myself get too low about things that aren't going well. 'Cause like 90% of the time I'm getting no's, or 80% of the time, because I'm trying to find the right people, and I think you guys are of that same mold, like trying to find the right people that are trying to grow their businesses.
Sure.
And I want to be able to provide something to them that's going to work. And sometimes, and I've learned this through years of experimenting and working with the wrong people and then working with the right people, it's sometimes people aren't as obsessed about their product as you even are as an outsider coming in. And that's a difficult thing, is like, if they're not going to put in the right amount of work, I'm not going to be able to help them no matter how much money they pay me, because then I'm not owning their business.
Right.
So that's,
what's crazy?
I don't know where I was going with that.
No. I know exactly where you're going with that. I learned real quick. So my dad's very much more cautious. I'm less. Are we doing too much here?
We're definitely going way over the normal time. Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
I generally keep it to a half hour, but this is cool, so I'm not stopping.
So just one more second. We're quitting there. Sorry about that. Oh yeah. So what I learned real quick is like trust. Like I think everybody always has the best intentions. Mm-hmm. And then, we worked with some people along the way during building this brand. It's like, no, they were just trying to make an extra 50% without me knowing, and hiding things, like I feel like transparency is everything, right? So you deal with some people along the way that really burn you, and you learn from that. But when you find the right people, and then like once you have that little bit of skepticism, I think that's where it's all broken, right? And I'm slowly...
Unless it's addressed, and that's the communication. Is like, you need to be able to have conversations.
Right. So it's like, how do you... once you build this trust, like right now we have a great relationship, right? And then if I ever get skeptical, or you get skeptical of me and we're not doing the right thing, it's got to be addressed.
Of course.
Right? If we don't address it, then that skeptical turns into a problem, and then now you hate me, I hate you, or whatever. I'm just talking in general terms.
That's how things have gone in the past. Some issues and some things is like, it really does come down to communication.
Yeah, black and white, right? No gray.
And I'm one of those people that, like, if I leave something for too long, it never gets done, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
That I've learned about myself.
Yeah.
So I've had to correct that.
I know, it's so freaking hard sometimes, dude.
But
It is.
You live and you learn.
No, it's good, man.
All right, so
That's
just
it.
to
I'm
wrap
sorry.
it up.
Yeah,
No, it's cool. Thank you for
No,
being here. And
no.
Where can people follow along, and where can people find some of this awesome stuff?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, first and foremost. This was awesome. I never done one of these before, so hopefully it comes out good. But you can find me anywhere, most of the time in West Hampton Beach during the summer on Main Street, 83C. We're open almost every day from 10 to 8. You can also find us every day at the Walt Whitman Mall in Huntington, New York. And if you're traveling through LaGuardia Airport Terminal B, flying JetBlue, anything basically but Delta, you can find us there in the Terminal B. And also 24/7 online at saltwaterlongisland.com. And as I like to always close things out, Steve, if you don't mind, as always, my friends, stay salty.
Awesome. That's it.
That's a wrap. Thank you, guys.
Nice. Thank you, man.